In this episode, my guest is Adam Bauer, a seasoned marketing professional with over a decade of experience with major real estate brands, and we explore how AI is transforming real estate marketing. We dive into the power of audience targeting, the importance of a strong database, and why agents need to embrace content creation. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just getting started, this conversation is packed with insights to help you leverage AI for smarter and more effective marketing. Tune in. Are you a real estate agent eager to unlock the power of AI to boost your productivity and scale your business? Then you're in the right place. Welcome to Real Estate AI Flash, the weekly podcast that takes AI from a buzzword to a business tool, making it approachable and actionable for agents like you. I'm your host, Rajiv Sajja, and each week I interview agents from across the country who are using AI to transform their careers. Join us on this journey to become an AI skilled agent and take your real estate career to the next level. Now let's get to this episode. Well, welcome to another episode of Real Estate AI Flash. And today my guest is Adam Bauer. He has a experience over a decade leading marketing and digital for major real estate brands. And we're going to obviously dig in with all things AI and real estate. So Adam, welcome to the show.
Great to be here, Rajiv. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, yeah. Looking forward to this conversation. You know, and when you and I connected on that Facebook group, and then we sort of built a rapport. And, you know, I kind of felt like you would add so much value to the show just because you've sort of been with so many brands. You sort of are involved at the macro level, but also at a strategic level. So I think this episode is going to be really good for agents and also brokers that listen to the show. So before we dive in, I'd love for the audience to kind of get to know Adam. So give us your backstory and bring us to today.
Yeah, so I came from a marketing background, so it's kind of started out as a project manager for a Fortune 200 company. So started out kind of understanding that, and then moved over to a digital agency, and then got moved into real estate. So real estate's one of those things, as many of your guests, you don't ever expect to be here, but here we are over a decade later. And so I've worked for two of the top 10 brokerages in the US. And so I led digital for Howard Hanna for 5+ years, and then for head of marketing for HomeSmart. So you have Howard Hanna, who's more on the independent brokerage side, and then you have HomeSmart, who's a franchisor as well as a brokerage. And then most recently as a VP of marketing for Century 21 Sheets in Indy. So they are on the franchise side. So they're a great franchise. And so you kind of see the gambit of working from an independent broker and the challenges they think and the challenges the agents face versus then a franchisor and rolling things out to your whole network. And then somebody who's on the other side, the franchisor that you're getting things rolled out to. And so it gives me a really good perspective on the industry and how agents and brokerages deal with not only technology, but marketing and thinking about scale. And to me, I love housing. It's one of the most important things in people's lives. And so being part of that in the industry, I love it. And I just love being where we are today with AI.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that. We all get our starts in real estate. Just sort of stuff happens and you kind of get in. And I've been in it for like 21 years now. I mean, and obviously roles have evolved and things we do have evolved. And I heard this the other day and I thought it's so true. Real estate is like Hotel California. You can check out, but you can never leave.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So I think we find our calling with real estate. In housing, there's a niche there that we all feel strongly about. So that's great. So, we're like 2+ years now after ChatGPT launched, and every day it seems like, and we're recording this obviously, and last night Grok 3 dropped. Every day seems like a new model is coming. But we'll get to that in a second here. But what was your first light bulb moment with AI?
Yeah, so I know a lot of your guests have been like, hey, I've been on AI on the forefront. Like that is never me. I am always, the analogy I like to use is, I don't want to be the guy. We live in Indy, so it's snowing. You can probably see in the background, but I never want to be the guy who's like driving the snowplow and like pushing forward, but I like to be right behind it and learn from people's mistakes. So I would say like an early adopter of AI, but not on the forefront as so many people were. So for me, the aha moment was I was at it was a meeting on how do you manage people, right? So, and they were talking about AI use in people, and the aha moment was, they were talking how they were using AI to filter out resumes, and we're using it for creating matrix to evaluate candidates because they were having problems evaluating all the resumes they were getting. And so they were really showing how they created metrics in Matrix to evaluate that and scoring it. And that really changed me is so much of it, I was thinking about content creation. How do I utilize it? But it's way more about the ability for it to intake versus the output. And it's not just about content generation, but it's about like analysis, pattern recognition, and decision making. So that was the aha, is like, you need to think bigger about where this is going and the power that it has. And that really spiraled me into like, this is something we got to pay attention to.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Your comments triggered a thought. Most people aren't thinking big enough about AI. That's one. Mm-hmm. But the finish to that is most people aren't thinking small enough. So they get walloped in the whole bigness of AI, but they don't have specific things. They're starting to start their journey with minor things. I mean, as you mentioned, the resume stuff, I talked to a small business owner that was struggling with AI and how they sort of can adopt it. And they are a HR agency that filters candidates.
Yep.
And actually, the 2024, obviously, it seems like a decade in technology is like 1 year in AI, right? I mean, it's like crazy, as you know, Adam. So I thought about 2024, and the two major things for me that came out of 24, if I had to pick two AI advancements that have really impacted my job and my role and our audience, one is custom GPTs. It's where we're headed with AI agents, and that 100%. This whole truck that's moving ahead is this year. The other one is Notebook LM, Google's Notebook LM. But I told them, look, you could build a nice custom GPT for filtering candidates, put all the instructions in there, and when you get a resume, upload it, and it will give you grades on everything you care about to interview or not interview. I mean, like literally, you can shave off time and you can upload. So to your point, I think it's well received. I think you need to find specific use cases that are taking a lot of time. And if you do it often, go tackle that.
100%.
That's right? And go in with a curiosity mindset. So I know this is, I still feel like we're still in the top of the first inning with AI.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I mean, but it doesn't feel that way for me, that because I've been in it like knee deep for 2 years, but it still is that as an industry, because we're still trying to figure out all that stuff. So let's kind of dive in, Adam, about specific things you're seeing for agents, and then maybe we can pivot to brokers after that.
Yeah. And so, when I'm working with agents or kind of, doing workshops or things like that, is one of the common struggles that I see is them defining their target audience. And so often when I ask it's anyone looking to buy or sell a home. That's like the go-to answer. Like, I work with anyone to go and buy or sell a home. And in so much of you get pushback. And it's like, if you're marketing to everyone, you're not marketing to anyone. And for me, effective real estate marketing is like knowing who I want to work with. And those are not the only people that you're working with. But if I want my marketing strategies and content and tactics to be creative, I need to have areas that I want to target to get more business there. Or I really feel like I can grow my business. And so one, I'm trying to always teach them the business principles behind it. And so target market, regardless of where AI goes, having your target audience and market is key. And we can figure out the different AIs that we use to plug into that. But one, getting them to think about target audience. Then two, you get into how do you start to use that? And so usually if I try to break it down into a new agent versus experienced agent, because they're two different tracks that they may be thinking about. And so, a new agent, I'm saying, kind of take the answers of like, where do you spend your time? Who do you naturally connect with? And what type of deals do you want to do and why? I always use the example, like my wife and I like to go to the gym and work out. And so I would say, hey, I want to try to potentially get people who active lifestyle or enjoy that. And so you kind of take those answers and you paste them into ChatGPT and you say, how can I help? Can you identify some potential target audiences? Like, you don't need to have, sometimes there's like really good prompts. I'm like, just put it in there and it will give you a list that you can start to filter through and say, hey, is this which of these audiences do I feel like I really want to go after? And then pick 2 or 3 that you're going to be committed to creating content. And you feel like you can refine and get there. So if you're an experienced agent, on the same token, I say, if you haven't figured this out, upload your sales data, ask them to analyze your market and your background and suggest your best client types. And so you can kind of look up where you're doing deals, the markets where you want to go. And I say, get that on a map, because like, where do you want to do business? Does that match where you are doing business? And then where do you want to grow? And really getting a good idea. And the ability for AI to do that like quickly and give you results, and then put together some of your blind spots that you may not be thinking of. That's where you start. And so then kind of that started to develop. You have your general where you want to go. And so then have them, create avatars or personas with that. And so you take that, you put those in there, and you can ask ChatGPT, say like, hey, can you create a detailed avatar for whatever your market, that's first time buyers, luxury clients, whatever the areas are. Again, I'll use the example, like I'll say people who attend the gym, and it will give you a target persona of a person. Because I think when you're marketing, we tend to think of this mass person, this faceless person out there. I said, if you can think of target your market to somebody specifically that you're thinking of who may resonate with, you'll have much more effective marketing.
100%. As you're talking about that, we recently had Brian Bora, who on a New Year's Day episode, and he talked about having a point of view, but also developing. Don't go after everyone, go after your niche, right? Yeah. Like whether it's first-time home buyers, new construction, and I think agents that are listening know what we're talking about. And I think, and building personas. So we had an agent that took their entire CRM database. They've been in business for over a decade. They uploaded to ChatGPT and had ChatGPT build personas of people or clients that would be attracted to how they do business.
Yes.
So I think this is, and one of the things I hate about marketing, because it's one to many and it doesn't resonate with anyone, it's just like table stakes.
Yep.
I think the power of AI is personalized experiences for each persona. So it triggers the emotional connection, but you're still doing one to many, but it appears like it's one to one.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the power I think we're going to start to see. And that's a great call out. So good. What else are you seeing, Adam?
Yeah, so the thing with that, I said, after that can really, you take that and it gives you really good content strategies off of that, and I think that helps give you ideas on how I can target it and grow that. I think you take that too, and I say every agent should, the first one you start with, or every agent should own my neighborhood. Like every single person in the neighborhood should do one of two things. They should either, one, make a decision that they're not going to work with me. Like they've made an active decision to not work with me, or they're going to use me. I forgot you did real estate's the worst thing you can do. So using it to kind of use that to create targets for your own neighborhood and ways you can engage your own neighborhood is really key with that. And I think the other thing that you said I thought was really one of the things I was thinking about for this podcast is I think a agent's database is one of their most important business asset, right?
100%.
And I think that's so often neglected. And I think if we look at the future of AI and where it's going, the ability to market and create good content is going to be very much in some ways dependent on what you have in your database. So, we're in Indy. We have, kind of a college football town. Yeah, so you've got some people, you have Indiana IU fans, and you've got Purdue fans, and you've got Notre Dame fans, right? So many agents send out football mailers every year. Well, if I don't have that in my database, no matter what AI is going to try to do to create content, it's not going to be able to know who to send it and how to personalize that to feel relevant. Like my neighbor, Phil, he played for Purdue, right? So he played there. He loves Purdue. He's got a big Purdue out of flag. I know that about Phil. If I don't have my database, he's going to get an IU. If I'm just mailing out IU schedules, that doesn't feel like I know them at all and not engaging on a personal level. And so just thinking about how can I start to manage my database, because AI is going to be able to, there's tools now that can fill it in based on what people have on LinkedIn and personally and fill some of that in. So I think we'll see more of that where it does some of that work for you. Yeah. But I should know whether that, or like if I, and people send out recipes, do I know that they're gluten-free? Like if I send out my favorite chocolate chip, an agent sends out their favorite chocolate chip cookie recipe, I got a family who's gluten-free, like how does that feel? And so I think, how do we, utilizing AI, like AI can do so much and will do even so much more, but how do I manage my database in the mindset that AI is going to tap into that to be able to create different contents and be personalized based on 100%. Information. So I think preparing ourselves for where it's going is critical now, like getting everything in order right now, I think will be key to be able to utilize it down the road, because then you have to do that work eventually.
100%. The thought that triggered was AI is not going to help a crappy database.
Yeah, right.
Right. So I think if you have a good database, I think AI will power it better than ever.
Yep.
So I think I'm a big believer in that. At the end of the day, this business is always going to be human because it's, you're
Yes.
interacting with clients, etc. So when you're doing those touches, gather as much personalization information and feed your database so AI can actually help you as you go do personalization. So I think personalization is, we're going to see a lot more personalization with AI for people that have a really good database. And I've been, in all our marketing things we talk about, agents next deal isn't their database. You just haven't
Yeah.
done enough to find it,
Right.
right? Or
Yeah.
triggered it enough, right?
Yeah.
So good take call outs there. Anything else on agents before we maybe switch to brokers?
I think there's a dual, a kind of transition, for us as we think about brokers and agents. Is I think you go back to my initial aha is the ability for it to analyze data, and so I look at it
Yeah.
from an agent perspective. Particularly top producers, like there are ways. Let's just say I'm using a HubSpot. I'm just going to pick using a
Yeah.
CRM, and I pick HubSpot, right? I know how to go in there and create reports. Like I can touch where it is like first touch, first interaction, the robust reporting. The average agent does not know how to do that or doesn't have the time to do it. Like, or they're trying to do deals. And so like the expectation that they're going to be able to go in and pull that report. What's really easy for me to go in to do is just get an export. So if I'm trying to analyze my email marketing, right, I recommend like pick a time frame. You can export all of it and then have ChatGPT put it in there, analyze my best performing emails based on either open rate, click rate, the metrics I think are
Yeah.
important, and then find my lowest. You can also upload the content and like have it analyzed and tell like why was this effective, why was this not effective, and so utilizing it to analyze your marketing. Like there's a full cycle of we put into ChatGPT is that we'll say hey or Gemini whatever you're using and say hey my goal is to create leads or create engagement. If we're not feeding that back in and having it reanalyze, we're missing a huge opportunity. And marketing is getting more expensive. We're expected to do more marketing, and so making efficient marketing is key. And so having feedback loops that you're then refining, whether your email is testing subject lines,
Oh yeah.
or Facebook ads. I love using it for coming up with A/B testing because it's so easy. I have a great image I want to use. I can usually think of a good first caption. I honestly struggle with the second one because like pour my creative juices. Like I think this is going to work. I need something to help me where I can create two tests pretty quickly and easily. And so using it for A/B tests, like on the creative side, I think that's a
Yeah,
really
100%.
good way to do that.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the things that I did that with my YouTube channel recently.
Mm-hmm.
About here's all the analytics, here are all the topics. You can get a whole screenshots or multiple screenshots, and it gave me insights on things I should do more of and things I should do less of. And imagine how long that would have taken me if I didn't have AI.
Yeah.
I mean, you can probably hire somebody, and most people just don't have the wherewithal or budget to kind of hire people for resources. Now you have like a universal smart thought partner.
Yeah.
That is at your beck and call 24/7. And recently I upgraded to the ChatGPT Pro, Adam, because they launched this deep research thing. So I figured I'll just play for a month. And now AI agents for research are just coming out of the woodworks. Like Perplexity launched one.
Yeah.
Everybody's got one. And I did a video recently, and I did basically the project it's basically AI research agent. That's the agentic use case. But the question I asked was, write me a 2025 social media marketing trends for real estate agents and focus on these 4 platforms and give me what they should do more of and what they should do less of. And deep research from ChatGPT took about 20 minutes, and it gave me a 30-page report with findings.
This is incredible.
And then I did that with Google Gemini Advanced Deep Research. That gave me a report. I did it with Perplexity. Now has I don't know if you use Perplexity, but do you use Perplexity?
I have not yet. Nope.
You should download it like right after this show.
All right, I'm done.
It's a search engine, and it's a conversational style search engine. It's free, and so anyway, they have now added in the dropdown Deep Research and DeepSeek R1 as options you can pick, and that's the DeepSeek. They've hosted a DeepSeek model in the US. It's not sending data to China, but I ran it across all these 4, and I linked it in my YouTube video. Here's all the 4 reports. And it literally took me less than 40 minutes to do it, because you can click a button and go away and come back, and it's done. So it's almost like a, assistant. In this case, I shouldn't shortchange ChatGPT. It wasn't an assistant, it was a thought partner.
Yeah.
So your point is really well taken. I think your creativity your imagination is the only limitation you have with AI, right? With everything we're asking. We don't know what else it can do that we've not asked the question, right? So
I think some of the beauty of that too is, you hire an assistant, like sometimes you don't even know what to ask, right? 100%. Like ChatGPT, you can just, or, any AI, you just can ask in very real person's language. Like, hey, help me analyze this, and I don't even know what I'm looking for, and it would do that. I put in somebody's database and it said score my database, and it had like 10 checklists of like, here's where it's good, here's where it failed. I mean, there's a lot in there it can just do, even if you don't know much. Like, that's the beauty of it, is like you can not know anything and get really good intelligence quickly.
100%. Yeah. All right, so let's switch to the final 2 questions I ask all my guests to wrap up our pod today. So the first is, a lot of agents listen to the show. If you had to give them one piece of advice, what would that be for them to have a great 2025 and beyond?
I think creating content, like as simple as it is creating content. The example was, you don't get good at creating content until you're first bad at it, right? I think you can't be afraid. And we just see, people block messaging more than ever. We are trained to, like, we have automatic pop-up filters in our brain, and to get any message that resonates through anyone, you need to be able to have like multi-touch campaigns that hit people. If I'm doing a mailer, I got to make sure my social. And so I think creating a ton of content and getting good and being okay with it not being perfect. I mean, I go back and I follow, Gary Vee always has, famous entrepreneur and social media influencer. He's got like 44 million followers plus. Like, go back in his first episode of like Wine Library TV, where he started.
Yeah.
His dad's, he's got like a background on like 3 wine. It's not any good, but you get better over time by doing it. And I think there's such a fear in like, I don't want to be on video. Like, you got to get over that. Like, if you want to continue to grow your business, the expectation is there that agents are going to be there. Like, the number one thing they want their properties marketed on is social media. And so I have to be able to deliver that. And so you can get by without doing it. But I think if you really want a future, you got to start. For not doing it, start. Add 1% better today, and just start in creating
100%. And it's all about building your brand, right?
Yeah.
And most agents that are not doing content creation are only doing, I call it timeline events they announce. I got a listing.
Yeah.
I got an open house. These are all events, but they don't talk about the value you provide as a real estate agent.
Mm-hmm.
And if you commit to creating content, video you talk about, you can then use everything that happens in real estate as a marketing moment, right? It's the question is, how do you market it?
Yeah.
And like, people say, oh, I had 30 people at an open house. Well, did you market it? And why did you get it? Because you did some work. There's value. So I think there's a story to be told at every event. And if you just map that out, there's content available all the time for you to sort of mix and match. So point well taken, Adam. I think creating content in 2025 and beyond, never been more important. So final question. Most of, I don't know if you read audibles, books, or real, physical books, or a podcast. I don't know how you consume content, but we've all been impacted by one or more book or a podcast more than others. Is there a book or a podcast that our audience should dig into?
Yeah, so I think for me, I had 3 that I kind of thought of that would be good. Well, at least for me, that are hugely impactful. I think one is Brief by Joseph McCormick. I can be very verbose and long-winded because I'm like I overthink everything, so then I'm an over-explainer sometimes. And so Brief is a great book that tells you like how to be brief and get your message across, particularly if you're dealing with stakeholders, executives. I think that's really powerful.
That's a good one. I haven't heard of it. I'll add it to my reading list.
I got that was a coaching, like, hey, you need to figure out how to be more brief. So that was a lesson learned for me. Also, I use the Bible a lot because I think it's important to know who your foundation and what you are is. And I think keeping yourself centered in a place that the world pushes us in a bunch of different ways. And so being grounded into who you are and what you believe is really important. And then I think if you are a real estate agent and interested in AI or use like this is the podcast that we're on is the best one that you should be because it's targeted. The information there is relative. I think the tools that you get and the expertise from out in the marketplace and people willing to share insights like that is incredibly valuable. And so I would, they're listening to it, so they're in a good space. But this is a great. I recommend this podcast for that.
Well, thank you for that. And yeah, our mission has always been making AI approachable and actionable for all real estate professionals, irrespective of the brand. So, and there's so much, and that's the biggest gap I see now is like getting agents to get on their journey, right?
Yeah.
And the only difference between you and me and others that are listening to the show is that we've just had more light bulb moments with AI.
Yeah.
So we know what's possible. So we just need to lead people along the way. So Adam, thank you for taking the time. This has been fun. And if there's anything I could do for you, and we'll stay in touch.
That sounds great.
Continued success.
Thank you so much for having me.
You made it to the end. Nice. My goal with this podcast is to elevate your AI skills every week. If you found value in the show, your goal is to follow, share with a fellow agent, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and leave us a review as it helps us reach more agents like you.